his cronies, CPAC, and Tony Lesbian Harvin, whatever his name is, something like that. You know what I mean? Man, they be talking some stuff, boy.
First, I'm call your name Tony Harvin and Pastor Gino Jennings. First thing was you issued this challenge out. It got answered. And then through that, you sitting there calling the people wives and whores.
And thoughts.
Then you, Tony Harvin,
Coward.
you coward. Then you turn around and you putting names of slaves and thoughts and all of that on holy, righteous women photos.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, Tony Harvin Network YouTube channel. If you like, hit that subscribe button listed right here. After you hit the subscribe button, if you want to receive all notifications of videos that come out on this YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and select all after you hit the notification bell. Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to my YouTube channel, my secondary YouTube channel, Tony Harvin Network. I greet everybody upon this evening. This here is Regular Conversations number 7. Regular Conversations number 8, beg your pardon, where we're here to talk about this so-called preacher out there, you know, who's been having some type of words for me in general. I guess they call him Charles Dowell. They address him as Pastor Charles Dowell. And do remember my disclaimer, I'm not a pastor, preacher. I don't hold any type of office in the church at all. I'm just a YouTuber. At the end of the day, we're not here to violate any type of community guidelines, any type of copyright infringement. For those who just came in, we're gonna run that back right quick. I'm gonna run this back because I found this hilarious right here. I'm gonna run it back right quick.
His cronies, CPAC, and Tony Lesbian Harvin, whatever his name is, something like that. You know what I mean? Man, they be talking some stuff, boy.
First, I'm call your name Tony Harvin and Pastor Gino Jennings. First thing was you issued this challenge out. It got answered. And then through that, you sitting there calling the people wives and whores.
And thoughts.
Then you, Tony Harvin,
Coward.
you coward. Then you turn around and you putting names of slaves and thoughts and all of that on holy, righteous women photos.
This is hilarious. This is hilarious. Oh, man. What's up to everybody in the chat room upon this evening? You know, what's up to Khadijah Reeves? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Henry Ross, shout out to you. I get to your comment in a minute. I'm shouting everybody out. What's up to Roy? What up? What's up to Michael? Appreciate that. What's up to Deborah? Shout out to you. Cell Express, Gin Juice, Christopher Span, TNT, Nicole Martin, one of the channel moderators, VC. Shout out to you. Bless, Linda, DJ Grant, Ernest. Appreciate that at Khadijah Reeves. Thank you. Shout out to you and your YouTube channel. If y'all haven't subscribed to Khadijah Reeves' YouTube channel, go do that. Go shout out to Khadijah Reeves. Appreciate that. What's up to Gino P? What up? Rebel Eric, Caesar, Jeremy Dunbar, John Smith, David B. Valerie Stewart, Will at Washington, AG, C Book. All right, we're gonna go back up to the comments. So a while ago, not too long ago, some people know about Pastor Charles Dowell. I believe he's like into this Hebrew Israelite type of thing, and he's one of those false prophets that attacking me. You understand that? My channel and what have you. and y'all know how we do it over here. I did some videos in reference to him on my other YouTube channel, and maybe one or two on here. Not recently. All right. So he made some statements about 8 or 9 months ago. I didn't fully respond. I respond on my time, and today is that time for me to respond in general to the video. So the video you saw, the first clip was him, I guess, making reference to me as a lesbian. I don't see how that's funny. You understand that? I mean, women is my preference. You know what I mean? That's what I like at the end of the day. So I don't see what's funny about that joke he had made. And the second guy, let me show him. Let me see if I got this photo up here. I think I do, if I'm not mistaken. Where is he? No, I don't have his full picture. But the second guy, we're gonna go to. I'm gonna present my screen right quick. I'm going to present my screen. All right. If I can get it there. So we on Straightway. I call it Straightway to Hell. All right. So Mr. Dowell, he's the leader and the so-called pastor over there at Straightway church, or whatever the case may be. And it says, "Welcome to Straightway." All right. So this is it right here. Mr. Charles Dowell. Some people are very familiar with him. All right. So the one that was talking, the dark-skinned guy, is Daniel Murr, a former NFL football player. What do you know? A former NFL football player. Check him out. All right. So the dark-skinned guy, this is him right here. This is Daniel Murr, whatever his name is. All right. The dark-skinned guy that was talking with Mr. Dowell and his peoples and whatnot. All right. So this fellow, he mentioned that Tony Harvin wouldn't say what I said to his face. Obviously, he don't know me at the end of the day. Obviously, he don't know me. He played for the Colts. I believe he played for the Packers. But he wasn't doodle as a football player. You understand me? He wasn't nothing as a football player at all. You can't play fighting, brother. You understand that? This is a different field. This ain't football. No disrespect to all football players out there. You know what I mean? And we try not to make things a physical matter. But when people come at you as if they could overtake you and run over you, you know what I mean? I'm not a pushover at the end of the day. We know this is YouTube, whatever the case may be. We have our laughs and whatnot. But obviously, he doesn't know me too well at all. You understand that? Mr. Daniel Murr, defensive tackle or whatever he was, a nose tackle or whatever. Number 90 for the Colts. All right? So he played for the Colts and whatnot. All right? I'm trying to get the screen off, but it's not going off. All right, there you go. So this is Mr. Murr right here. He's bumping pelvises with another man. You understand that? Number 90 for the Colts. You think I'm going to take you serious with a photo like that? You understand that? Why would I take you serious, dude? I wouldn't take a fella that serious who's bumping pelvises with another man. You understand? All right? And here's another photo of Mr. Daniel Murr. You getting yoked up, and you ain't do nothing back. You understand that? So how can I take you serious, Mr. Daniel Murr? I guess he's a minister now under Charles Dowell or whatever the case may be. I mean, you getting yoked up. He got yoked up. You understand that? So I can't take fellas serious like that over the internet, whereas though they being made as if you calling me a coward, but look at you. The proof is in the pudding. People like that with the biggest mouths, man, be the softest kind of people. You know what I mean? Listen, I always state this. You got to have bulletproof emotions when you're dealing with the internet. If you letting a YouTuber bother you to the extent where as though you want to get physical with them, you're a weak-minded person. At the end of the day, Mr. Daniel Murr, whatever your name is, man. You understand? All right, let's go to these comments right quick. He says, not the doodle man, still coming from my brother. He says, with his big old. Oh man, y'all funny. All right, G Swole, what up? He says, that's another guy I used to follow on YouTube, and I believe he has a video going at PJ. Yes, that was a part of one of the videos he was going at PJ. He's trying to justify that polygamy is within the scriptures. He's trying to justify him having multiple wives as being a part of the Bible in these days. You understand that? That's why I titled it Preaching or Pimping. You understand? When I was younger, listen, I talked to various women at the end of the day. Even in my younger years, I said, listen, this man, if I was young and I was a senior, I said, this man, he's just trying to cover this up with the Bible. He know what he's doing. You understand? He know what he's doing. Big pimping. He know what he doing. Some pastors, they rob the church for money. You know what I mean? Some try to justify it with the scriptures. Now you got fellas out here in the church like this. They trying to justify having more than one wife at the end of the day. You understand that? And you're going to see, and you're hearing about it just a little bit more in these days with polygamy and things of that nature. All right? Let's go to the comments. Shout out to you, Carolyn. All right? Who I miss? Nicole Martin, appreciate that. All right. Christmas fan says, with all due respect to the ladies, man, I love my wife, but when it's cycle time, sometimes that woman drives me up the wall. How you dealing with 3 in one house? Something isn't right. Wow. You says, and I'm not trying to be graphic, but that's too much saliva, too much juices, too much dirt and sweat, bruh. It's just nasty. Absolutely. Absolutely. But when you got fellas out there who know how to manipulate the scriptures like that have silly women fall for that type of guy, it's manipulation. They stupid. And when I made the video, titled them thoughts and stuff like that, I meant it. You understand that? Because that's what thoughts do. You know what I mean? That's what they do at the end of the day. He said, why am I disrespecting a holy, righteous woman? There's nothing holy about a whore. You understand that? Listen, there's nothing holy about a whore. Not at all at the end of the day. So I don't refer them as a holy woman. If it's a holy woman, listen, I won't talk about no holy woman at the end of the day. You understand that? But when a woman is so silly and so stuck on stupid that she would allow a man to have 2 other females or 3 other females in the house posing as wives, listen, she's stuck on stupid. Especially the main wife that he has. Now, we're not talking about them in a disrespectful format. You understand that? But if a woman been married to a man for 20 or 30 years, and then a man manipulate her mind, listen, baby, you know, this part of the scriptures, you know, I could have 2 more wives, you know, and he just manipulate the scriptures over and over until she's silly and fall on dumb nails at the end of the day and fall for the okie doke. To have him allowed to have 2 or 3 or 4 other wives or 4 other women in the house and be okay with it. So when he's knocking boots with this one, what are you doing? Like you said, C-SPAN, this stuff is disgusting, it's nasty. Listen, I don't see the gist of it. You know, I'm a germaphobe. You know what I mean? I'm a clean, neat freak and all that stuff like that. I like cleanness. I like the woman to be clean. And you swap and spit with this one, as you stated, Christmas Span, and then you got to go and kiss another chick. And then you got to go kiss another one. Somebody said the other day he had 4. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. All I see was 3 online and things like that in his photo. But 4, 3 or 4? You're absolutely right at Christopher Span for sure. All right. What's up to Linda? Shout out to you. Roy says, greetings, family. Blessings to all of you. What's up, brother? I'm chilling. DJ Grant says, what's up, brother and family? If these dudes don't care why they keep watching, man, this is sad. Absolutely. You're right about that. You know? But like I said, one has to have bulletproof emotions. If you are a so-called preacher, why would you allow a YouTuber to get under your skin over the computer? You understand? I don't pose as a preacher. Like I said the other day, I'm going to make my videos. This is what YouTubers do. You know what I mean? If I was a preacher, if I was a God-sent preacher, I wouldn't worry about it at the end of the day. You understand that? I wouldn't let it bother me to that extent at all. All right? What's up to Ernest Beard? Shout out to you. Appreciate that at Roy. Sandra Whitmore. She said, "Who is that?" I think I answered that. Rebel Eric. He says, "Here come the trolls. Here comes the trolls. Here comes the trolls in a waiting tune." He said, "Why these dudes always got to be freaky? They just can't just say what's on their mind. They act like middle school kids, straight clowns." Absolutely, absolutely. People just don't know how to keep it Bible. If one issue out a biblical discussion, and then the other person, I ain't interested. You know what I mean? I ain't interested. If I'm a fighter, right? And somebody come to the table, offer me a fight. Hey, I got offer fights. I had contracts on the table to fight certain people. Listen, I'm not interested in it. You understand that? That doesn't mean a person is scared or afraid at all. It's not like that. All right. Appreciate that, Nicole Martin. All right. David B. You laughing. He said, you you see already starting off hilarious, definitely going to be wild. Absolutely, for sure. He said, you're having too much fun with these clowns. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why I see them as mainly all of them are clowns at the end of the day. You understand? Especially these fellas over there. You know what I mean? They really try to justify. Listen, like I said, a lot of us guys, we love the ladies. You understand? When we was younger, we loved the ladies at the end of the day. But we knew better. We knew that wasn't scriptural to have 3 or 4 women in the house posing as wives at the end of the day. We know better. You understand that? It doesn't matter how much you like to play, be a player. You understand? Be a playboy and rack up all these women every week. We knew better back then. That was not justified at all by the scriptures, not one bit. It's common sense. Anybody could understand that. A child could understand that's not biblical to have more than one wife in general. You know what I mean? All right. Valerie Stewart Willett says, "Greetings, shout out to you. Classified information, shout out to you. You says, we got the Israelites on deck tonight." Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You understand? Oh yeah. So I know a lot of people on here, they mentioned that the Hebrew Israelites, they always stay in the Old Testament. They always stay in the Old Testament. Listen, it's common sense. We ain't sacrificing animals no more for the atonement of sins. So they pick and choose and cherry pick upon what suits them. Of course, having more than one wife would suit an idiot like that. Listen, man, I could manipulate the scriptures and try to manipulate my wife to bring more than one ocean in the house. Man, that's lovely to have more than one wife. Manipulating the scriptures. This is what people do, man. It's crazy in these days. I never thought I would see a so-called preacher with more than one wife. You understand? I never thought. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing it time and time again on Facebook. People putting up something about polygamy and I forgot what the other term is. No. Listen, delete. Get rid of those people. Delete. Because I never thought that people would be interested in having a relationship or a marriage with more than one person. You understand that? And like I said, listen, fellas, listen, it was a time when we loved the ladies. Listen, we had our Chictionary and everything when we were young, 19, 20, 21. We had our Chictionary. You understand that? We could call this person on Monday, this person on Tuesday. You understand? We could have did that. But in these days, we're trying to apply the scriptures to our life. And we know better now. We know better. One wife. You understand that? One wife. You know what I mean? If you are striving for God, I'm not preaching or teaching or anything like that. It's encouragement. If you are striving for God, you know better. Even if you was to have 2 women in the house at the same time, you will feel and get convicted about that ASAP for sure. All right. What's up to Donna Woods? What up? What up? Rebel Eric. He said, "This is crazy. We all know this, but I've never seen you disrespect anyone. Tell me if I'm wrong. This is absurd." Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't come on YouTube to disrespect anyone. You know what I mean? What happened was, I think he was making a live, right? The man was cursing, drinking whiskey, spewing out threats to the pastor and whatnot. Come on, man. Come on now. You understand? Come on now. You listen, you think the YouTubers is going to sit back and allow you to say that? They allow you to say that about their pastor. They allow you to disrespect somebody's wife. That's what he did. You know what I mean? We don't do that at the end of the day. You know what I mean? If you calling women who's under the house, what's the term? What's the word? If you call women, right, who allow a husband to have 2 or 3 more wives, you call them holy? You call them holy or whores? Which one? Pick one. What's so holy about that? You understand that? What's so holy about a woman allowing a man to have 2 or 3 more wives in the house? Is that holy? Is that holy or is that whorish? Let me know. All right. What up, Jakeem? What up? What up? What up? And he let Charles Dewell manipulate his mind. He let him manipulate his mind. You understand? Now he's trying to push all that nonsense and garbage to some NFL players. Man, they ain't gonna fall for that okie doke, man. Sit down. You understand? Sit down, man. All right. DJ Grant says they still mad, don't want to debate. Pastor don't want to debate him, so he says some freaky stuff. Dude is goofy. Absolutely. As I was stating, that if somebody is not interested in having a biblical discussion, they tend to make videos like this. They catch a temper tantrum and start making these type of videos and whatnot. They don't know how to differentiate a pastor and a YouTuber at the end of the day. Listen, I always state, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a preacher. I'm going to make my videos, whether you like it or not, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But if you're a so-called pastor, you are held to a higher standard at the end of the day, because you behind that pulpit, you supposed to be feeding the word of God to the people at the end of the day. You're not supposed to let a YouTuber like me distract you and throw you off course at the end of the day. Listen, I'm going to pick bones with you at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I'm going to put pressure on you. You know, for sure. Appreciate that classified information. He said, I saw this earlier. These guys are tripping. I'm sure your holy hands can take care of them. Name calling a man for him doing his job is unnecessary. To Daniel Murray, the football player, the NFL defensive back, I believe he's about 6'2", 250 or whatever the case may be. Listen, that stuff don't move me, man. You understand? That stuff don't move me. That stuff don't move me. I'm pretty sure people on here would love to see a YouTube boxing match, right? Y'all would love to see something like that. I don't think he will last, honestly. I don't think he will last. Listen, I don't think he will last at all. Listen, you can't play boxing. You can't play MMA. You can't play those type of things. You know what I mean? You saw what happened to Nate Robinson. You understand that? You saw what happened to them NFL players, them NBA players who stepped in the ring in boxing and MMA. No disrespect to y'all, but you saw what happened. You cannot play it. It's different at the end of the day, for sure. Although we don't promote violence and stuff like that, but we will defend ourselves at the end of the day. I will. You understand that? I'm not going to sit here and let somebody slap me all up and some over-righteous person, well, the scripture says, turn the other cheek. The scripture says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Oh, yeah? Put yourself in a position of somebody's shoes who's getting mugged. All right? Put yourself in a position of somebody trying to press you out there on the street, and if you got your kids and whatnot, what you going to do? Sit there at the end of the day? All right? Jeremy Dunbar says, we thank you, Pastor, beg your pardon. I repent for that. All right. We thank you, Dewell, for the shout out and pushing Tony's channel even more. Now obey what PJ preached. What's up to Mr. Exclusive? Shout out to you. Drone shots. You back again? You back? Why you keep coming back? Listen, we're talking about another preacher. You still trying to push this guy. You understand? You still coming over here. Listen, we ain't talking about you today. Maybe another day I might talk about him, maybe. But today is on Charles Dewell. All right. So we're gonna skip over him. All right. Let me see. What up to C Newton? He says the devil is real. He says, please don't tell me he used to play for the Packers. Yes, but most of his time in the NFL, he was on the practice squad. If you go to the Wikipedia, sometimes Wikipedia may have incorrect information or correct information, but it states that, he was mainly on a practice squad. He played some games in the NFL, but at the end of the day, that don't move me. You understand that? That don't move me at all. I can't take a guy like this serious, man. I can't take you serious, Daniel Muir, number 90. You bumping pelvises with another man. You understand? I can't take a man like that serious, man. Not at all. You know what I mean? I can't. I just can't. All right. What's up to Cynthia What's up to Cynthia Davenport? What up? What up? What up? Shout out to you. You're laughing. He said this is hilarious. The man is bumping pelvises with his teammate. Wow. I think Gino, he preached on something like that. When you're playing sports and whatnot, and he was stating that when he played basketball or something like that, he wouldn't allow another man to touch his rear side. He wouldn't allow certain things like that when you playing sports, if you are a real man at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You're playing your basketball out there, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, they tapping each other rears. Nah, not here. You understand? We don't do that over here, brother. You understand? We don't do that over here. All right? Mr. Hand, what up? He laughing. He's funny, man. Appreciate that at Khadijah Reeves. What's up to Michael Burke? What up? What up? Shout out to you. You says Quran approves multiple wives. Bible clearly says one wife. Do the Hebrew Israelites read the Quran? Oh, that's pretty interesting if they do. I never heard of a Hebrew Israelite reading the Quran. They try to use the Old Testament to try to justify having more than one wife. And let me be clear, no offense to the ladies out here. No offense to the ladies. I don't want to get no phone calls. I don't get no text messages and whatnot. But if the scriptures, right, if they justified a man having multiple wives in these days, you think men out here wouldn't be having 5 or 6 wives? You understand that? I said if. Not it is, if. Because some false prophet probably going to change my words up, splice it up, edit it, and try to make it sound like I said it's justified in the scriptures. No offense, woman out there. No offense. All right? He says, does he even got the money to support all those wives like Nick Cannon? Well, I don't know about his pockets or anything like that. I'm not in the man pockets or what have you, and things like that. But if you do, if you don't, you don't. At the end of the day, all right. He says hood boogers aren't holy. He says polygamy is the mess that these folks, fake woke heretics, are pushing hard. Yep, you're right about that. He says trying to say that there's a shortage of men. Hard pass, no thanks, not interested. Shortage of men. Wow, that's funny. Mr. Ham says one thing I can't say is this guy has in common the same thing that Jim Jones, what is that? Praying on the church. He said, no disrespect, but 3 wives, pH balance problems. He said, this guy and his followers obviously don't know the real holy word of God, Jehovah, Webnet. What's up to McCarver? Shout out to you. Yep, you're right about that. What's up to you said Solomon went all out. I wonder if they had Listerine back then. Solomon. Man, he had a bunch of wives, right? Concubines. Listen, I wouldn't have the time, man. You understand that? I don't understand how a man has the time. You know what I mean? How you got the mindset to deal with more than one woman. You understand how many headaches that is? But you got a lot of those fellas that's flocking to religions that that try to manipulate the scriptures that says, well, the scriptures justify us to having more than one wife. They want to run to that. You understand that? They want to run to that. All right. So the woman that they have right now, tipping and dipping, now they find a religion like this guy. Well, I can have more than one wife now. Oh, the scriptures justify it. Nah. You said they call themselves a man, but don't want to take the scriptures for what it is, then get mad at the truth, and people calling them clowns, calling them the clowns they are. Absolutely. You says twisting the scriptures just to get extra meat in the bedroom. Man, God going to get you for that. What's up to Evelyn Underwood? Greetings, brother Tony. How are you? I'm good. You know, just came in from work. DJ Grant said the only people that agree with them is people that want more meat on their plate and not satisfied with what they have. He says drop the link for the trolls. He said you gotta choose your battles wisely. Not everyone is worth your time. It's a good one. He said I still love the ladies, but it's common sense. Okay, at least you're honest. I mean, you love the ladies, but you know what the scripture says, right? A lot of us was there at one point. You understand that? A lot of us was doing us at the end of the day. You know? All right. Roy says the apostles mark false prophets and us being children of God. Too, it's funny and all. Absolutely. Tyrese Evans says, Tony, you're the same have sex out of marriage. Huh? What is he talking about? You in my bedroom right now? Man, he must listen, he must be in my house. You know what I mean? How does he know I'm having sex out of marriage? Nobody know. Listen, none of y'all know where I live. He said you're having sex out of marriage. Listen, the scripture says prove all things. So when you come out the woodwork saying something like that, you got to prove that. We got the link we can send. Invite. I put the link in the chat room for Tyrese Evans. Show me a picture. Give me audio. Give me video. Give me something, a Facebook status, Facebook post, Instagram, YouTube video. Something. You understand that? When Tony Harvin or something is having sex out of marriage right now. You understand? Now you got to prove that. You understand that? I put the link in the chat room. I will help you. I will teach you how to share your screen when you come on here and whatever. If you got the proof, the evidence, listen, you can have this YouTube channel, man. You can have all my channels. If you got any type of evidence, you understand that? Any type of evidence you got. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of freaky. You a man to say something like that about me. You know? And ain't listen, ain't nothing on the internet or nothing like that. You know? All right? Listen, even if I was married, you know what I mean? Even if I was married or not, or you know, talking to a woman and stuff like that, I've learned, you know, to keep stuff like, you want to keep stuff like private when you're talking with somebody that you really love or you're really married or something like that. You know what I mean? I've done that, you know, publicizing women back in the day and stuff like that. I've done that. You know what I mean? It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. You know what I mean? It could be. But you learn, especially if you're on this YouTube stuff and you start to get like numbers and whatnot, people want to be in your business like this fella right here. You know what I mean? Who doesn't know what he's talking about at the end of the day. You know what I mean? He have nothing as far as like proof or anything. You know, Tyrese Evans. Tyrese. That's your name as a man? Tyrese? No disrespect, all right? He ain't coming on. All right? You said his wife is a sucker and she's being abused by him. In the words of PJ Dwell, is a bum. Wow. Marriage. All right. He says of us having a good time doing it together. I guess germophobic as well. He says, I guess I'm germophobic as well because I like to use bleach for everything, including I ain't gonna put that. And this makes me want to. I ain't gonna say that either. Sandra Whitmore. He says, send them a doll, baby, to play with. We not the one. He said, do you still do the crybaby sound? I still got that on deck. I still got that sound on deck, you know. Where is it at? Where is it at? Right here. Let's hit him again.
Is a cronies, CPAC, and Tony Lesbian Harvin, whatever his name is, something like that. You know what I mean? Man, they be talking some stuff, boy.
First, I'm gonna call your name, Tony Harvin, and Pastor Gino Jennings. First thing was you issued this challenge out. It got answered, and then through that you sitting there calling the people wives and whores
And thoughts.
Then you, Tony Harvin,
Coward.
you coward. Then you turn around and you putting names of slaves and thoughts and all of that on holy righteous women photos.
That is hilarious. Wow. That's hilarious right there, man. That is hilarious. What's up to Michael Hollingsworth? What up, what up, what up? The man asked me if I'm married. Man, would you want my phone number next? I don't flow that way. You hear me? Classified information says, what's a Chictionary? It was like a little phone book back in the day where you have like a list of phone numbers of women. That is a Chictionary. Or you got your cell phone and you have a list of women. You know what I mean? Back in the day. That was back in the day. You know? All right. Let's go to more comments. All right. He says, I think I read that one already to you, at G Swole. Southern Express says they are Israelites, are right. That's why God divorced them in the Old Testament, like they to use. He says meat lovers. What up to Michael Hollingsworth? I remember that he was live and speaking about Gina's wife and mom, and he was drinking and had guns in the back and started talking crazy, trying to act hard. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, the man was talking very ignorant, you know, and then when somebody says something in a responsive manner, as far as like, you know, defense or how stupid he sounds or how silly his those women are, which is the truth, and they try to classify it as disrespect. How you a so-called pastor drinking whiskey or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean, using profanity, disrespecting people's mothers and whatnot, and you call yourself a man of God? What man of God got the Holy Ghost in him, preaching the word, but got a cup of whiskey? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. A cup of whiskey. I understand some wine. A lot of us, you know, I mean, you know, got an infirmity, you know. Our stomach hurt a little bit, you know. Listen, we get this much wine. They try to justify our infirmity. But whiskey, whatever you was drinking, you understand? On a live drunk. A pastor on a live drunk. So what, you got guns in the background? Who cares? Who cares? I'm pretty sure some people got guns also on here for hunting purposes and things like that, because that's what y'all do mainly, is just hunt. You know what I mean? Or go to target practice. You making it seem like you're a gangster or a thug out there. No. You got those guns for hunting and you got those guns for target practice. You don't got them for human beings in a sense, besides if somebody was to break in your house, whatever the case may be, for that purpose. But for the most part, just hunting and target practice. That's it. You know what I mean? You're not a gangster. You're not a tough guy, or whatever the case may be. That's just it. All right? We got that clear. Okay? He says those women in the thumbnail look simple-minded, in my opinion. Let me see if I can find that thumbnail. I think I got it. I think I found it. Here, go right here. See, I made this video 9 months ago on my primary YouTube channel, live conversation number 230. And I said so-called Pastor Dowell has multiple wives. Wives are thoughts. Conversation 230. And I got his wife. She's at the top. And I called her a slave. Hey, it's true. Your mind is in slavery. You understand that? Manipulation under slavery. Understand the whole context to the word. You know what I mean? You got all that knowledge, but you don't understand the context to what I'm trying to say. Your mind. Look at her. Look at her. Head down. She looks scared. You know what I mean? And the two at the bottom, they classify them as his wife, but they're not going to get married legally. You understand that? Because it's against the law, of course. So they just justify them to as his wife or whatever the case may be. All right. He said, I heard the recording of you telling that preacher from Canada that you're married, man. Listen, I could be a troll too at times, sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I could be a troll too. You know what I mean? The whole format of being a YouTuber is get people talking, get people making a video, get people in a sense. You know they're gonna talk. You know they're gonna make a video about you. It doesn't matter. You could say certain things like that. But when you tell the truth about something, they're not going to make a video on that. For example, we got health videos, right? Listen, eat right, have vitamin C, do this and do that. But if you say, listen, watch this. I'm going to say this one thing and watch they make a video. Although we're not serious about it, but just watch how they work with the clout chasing that they do. You understand that? I could say, listen, I'm married, right? Boom. Here goes the video. Tony Harvin said he's married. We got it on recording. Now look at the whole perception of that. A false prophet illegally recording. You see the justification and the evilness in that? They're looking for something juicy, right? I know they are. So guess what? You know, you control by saying certain things, setting them up because you know they're gonna make a video about you at the end of the day. Do I watch it? No. See, look at you. You in this chat room saying that. It got you to come to this video to say that. And what does that do to this video? What does that do to this channel? It boosts up the algorithm. It boosts up the statistics to this YouTube channel. All you doing, you got caught in a spider web. Simple. You understand that? So you can say Tony Harvin was caught on recording. We talked about things like that in reference to illegal recording. I said it's not the first time. And it won't be the last time. You know what I mean? If you feel as though somebody's recording you, say something out of whack. Watch it manifest over the internet if you're a YouTuber or if you're somebody with some type of following. You're going to see. They're going to make a video on you. You know what I mean? Despite illegal recording being a crime in certain states and certain countries, they still will risk. They will risk illegally recording you and putting it over the internet and trying to justify that. All right. But Tony Harvin is not married. All right. If you say Tony Harvin, it doesn't matter if a person say, listen, I'm married. Right? You believe them? If you go around and say, listen, Tony Harvin is married, then you got to prove that. You got to go to the court system where that person is at. It's public record. You understand? All you got to do is go on the website, type the person's name in, where they're from, it'll pop up. You got to prove that. You understand? Just like the person said, well, I think that's you. They say, you had sex, you having sex at a marriage. Well, you got to prove that. Now, we say this guy got multiple wives. We got the proof. You understand? He broadcasts it all over his Facebook. He broadcasted all over his website, his YouTube videos, and things like that. That is proof. You cannot say something and you do not have no type of proof at all. You understand that? All right. So when you got proof and things like that to Tony Harvin being married, it don't matter if I say that. Show me the proof. All right. Show me the proof that I'm married. Listen, you can have all my channels. You understand that? You listen. You can wipe all the videos away. Put what you want on here. All right. That's my verbal contract to you. Right. He says those women in the thumbnail look simple-minded. Absolutely. He said you got 3 wives on your thumbnail, but I'm almost positive it was 6. I kid you not. 6? Well, I couldn't. Somebody said 4. Somebody said 4 in another video. So I can't say 4. I only see 3. You know what I mean? I only got proof of 3. So if this 4, but I don't have proof of, I can't put it up. Just like this person is saying something, we gave them the link, but they don't want to come on with no proof. You understand that? You got to be careful what you say over YouTube. You got to be careful. You know what I mean? Because you got to prove that. You know what I mean? All right? He says, does he even have the energy to say, come on, man. Come on, man. Why would you say something? Why would you say something like that? The man said, does he have the energy to satisfy those women at his age? Listen, I don't even want to know that. Listen. I don't want to know that, man. You know, I don't even want to know that. Wow. He said, does he have the energy to satisfy those women at his age? Wow. Listen, I ain't even going to comment on that one. You know what I mean? Listen, we got to move on to another one, man. Listen, where you get that question from, man? Where you get that question from, G Swole? You understand? All right. Mr. Ham says these what is that? Love Moses. Love to twist the scriptures with no God. Jeremy Dunbar says, anytime you push the DOG, it will bring many haters. The devil is looking for any way to discredit the truth. He says, baby's trying to lead people. Wow, that's deep for sure. He says, pick bones. He said, cry Reese. He called them cry Reese. He said the man was bumping pelvises with another man, Daniel Murr. Wow, number 90. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Listen, we don't get down like that in boxing. Listen, we don't get down like that in boxing, man. This is how we get down. This is how we get down. You understand? This is how we get down. You know what I mean? We ain't bumping pelvises with each other. You know what I mean? This is how we get down. All right? So, Mr. Murr, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. All right? More comments. Nicole Martin, he says, no offense, Tony, because it's definitely some men out here that will be having 700 wives and 300 concubines. That's a lot. That's too much. You know, that's too much, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. 700 wives. You know what I mean? 700 wives and 300 concubines. You know, that's just crazy right there. You know, but that was back in those days, for sure. All right. Mr. Ham says, one thing I can say about these dudes is they didn't have women before they got into the church. You can tell. Says, I noticed you got a YouTube award. I had that award for like maybe 2 years already. I had that 2 years. How did you get that push in TOG service that YouTube is against? Well, YouTube is not against the truth of God message. You got to understand they are not against the truth of God message. You know, if you pushing anything on YouTube, if you pushing, you know, your videos or whatever the case may be, um, just because they may have like some violations with what PJ says, and you know, talking about the Skittles community and stuff like that. If you're doing your thing, hey, they give you your just due at the end of the day. You got to understand. I have also had more videos on my channel at the end of the day, for sure. You know, so it's just pushing the whole channel in whole. We know the majority of that channel has the truth of God. It's just like a store. You know, you go into a store, it may be something there that's popular. You know what I mean? That might be selling out every day that people just love. You know what I mean? And it's the same when you have a broadcast YouTube channel or a network. You know, there's going to be a majority of people that like to watch this certain thing, and the truth of God happens to be it. You know what I mean? And hey, people cling to the channel, and I wasn't in the beginning. I wasn't looking for that. It was just for my study purposes, and you know, the channel grew, and with the channel growing, PJ encourages the people. Listen, you know, if you got skills, if you got talent, utilize it. You know what I mean? Listen, if you know how to make clothes, candles, whatever the case may be, anything that don't go contrary to the word of God, listen, do your thing. You understand that? Well, health videos, exercising videos, cooking videos, trucking tutorials, do that. He encourages all of that. You know what I mean? So branch off, have another channel. You know what I mean? So maybe one day this channel gonna get 100K. It takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's an everyday effort at the end of the day. You understand that? Especially with editing and recording, and you know, you're coming home from work, you're trying to exercise, take care of your kids and stuff like that. It's a lot of work at the end of the day, for sure. But I had no background. So sometimes a lot of creativity come in my mind to do simple stuff. This is just put up the couple of boxing trophies, whatever the case may be, in the background. And you know, I like the lighting into my kitchen or whatever the case may be. And you know, hey, all right. I also see some other YouTubers do that. They put the award in the background. So I got some type of encouragement from the other YouTubers to do that. You know what I mean? All right. But it's hard work, man. Every day is hard work. It's hard work. Believe it or not, it's hard work, especially you work in multiple channels. All right. So those out there who's promoting the truth of God on a YouTube channel, listen, I encourage you to get another channel. I encourage you to get 2 or 3 more other channels for sure, and utilize your talents, your skills on those channels for sure. You know what I mean? I encourage you to. All right. He says they're fighting hard for that second and third meat. That's why they can't stand pastor. I work with a Hebrew Israelite. I honestly don't know how he is going to find a wife. He is so aggressive in everything he does. Rashid. Excuse me. Well, there's different types of Hebrew Israelites. There's different types. You know, not all of them are like that. You understand? Mainly, like, to me, those who come off like that are the folks from the GMS camp. You know what I mean? I don't think, you know, Charles Dowell, their organization is like that. But, you know, people from like the GMS camp, them fellas over there, yeah. All right. It's all about using your brain and your common sense, which people don't use these days. I agree. He says, let me find out Tyrese's drone shots. That's a good point, because once that person came on, drone shots went away. You see these people make these different names and whatnot. That's that weird stuff. They want, listen, it's Tony Harvin. We caught you on audio. You said you was married. I could say a whole lot of things on audio. Just to have you go run with it and go to the internet to promote me. You understand that? It's called marketing and promoting. You understand? All right. So you could have a troll, you know, or false prophet on a string by them keep promoting your name in all videos and whatnot. Just saying nonsense. Here, we come in. I like to keep it biblical, but I'm not preaching. That's why I put preaching or pimping. Preaching or pimping. Those other false prophets, they want to go into all this other personal stuff and all this crazy stuff, nonsense. We put it like this. If this man is a man of God or any other man of God out there who claim to be a man of God and they're trying to justify the scriptures allow men to have multiple wives, do you justify that, Mr. Evans? All right. He says you got yourself an admirer, a male one who thinks he's in. Listen, you got a lot of them like that. You got a lot of them trolls like that they admire you. I don't get that. That's weird. That is weird. You understand? Very weird. All right. Appreciate that, Mr. Ham. He says getting freaky out here. He says Dowell is hell bound and he doesn't even know it. Wow. Michael Burke, what up to Gladys? Shout out to you. Wow. Show for show. He says, bruh, the hairline. He said the hairline. Who you talking about? You talking about Daniel Murr? He says, what man cares about another man's bedroom? Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. He said these senior elders being bullies is so sad and embarrassing. He says, homeboy sounds like Rick Ross. All he was missing was Oh man, this guy funny, man. This guy funny, man. Let's throw it back.
His cronies, CPAC and Tony Lesbian Harvin, whatever his name is, something like that. You know what I mean? Man, they be talking some stuff, boy.
First, I'm call your name, Tony Harvin and Pastor Gino Jennings. First thing was you issued this challenge out. It got answered. And then through that, you sitting there calling the people wives whores.
And thoughts.
Then you, Tony Harvin.
Coward.
You coward. Then you turn around and you putting names of slaves and thoughts and all of that on holy, righteous women photos.
Oh man, this guy's funny, man. Too funny. What's up to Leonardo? What up? What up? He says, why do Israelites dress like Party City Power Rangers yelling and cursing on street corners? He says, why clowns reference you to a woman calling you a lesbian? Why are they scheduling a guest for you? Wow. That's funny. All right. He says, typo. Okay. I got you on that one. John Smith says, for it's a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. Absolutely, for sure. He said he got them questions. Digital masterpiece. What's up? So every man have his own wife, every woman. I think you read it. Is that a scripture? It says, if a man that has his own wife and marries another, the real question is that woman marrying another woman's husband? What's up to E? Shout out to you. Appreciate that. Gladys, excuse me. Appreciate that at TNT. You said y'all understand what I'm saying, not trying to get rid of all. Okay, listen, man. I understand all that. You know, I understand what you're trying to say when you ask that question about that at G Swole for sure. You said, speaking of channels, can we get Sister Khadijah's YouTube channel? It's her name. It's her name, Khadijah Reeves. I believe it's her name. What's up to SW? Shout out to you. He says not all promotion is good promotion. Appreciate that. All right. He says pulpit pimps. What's up to Jonah, Cassie Williams? Hope all is well. He said I didn't finish reading that. Jared James says he mad that he doesn't have any of those. Oh man. I mean he played in the NFL, you know. I'm pretty sure he got some accolades and stuff like that from playing football in college and high school and stuff like that to make it into the NFL and what have you. I mean, with all due respect, you know, that's hard work making it to the NFL, but you know, you don't play boxing, dude. You don't play MMA and stuff like that at the end of the day. You know, so if he's stating, I think he's out of Indiana or something like that. If you state that Tony Harvin won't say it to your face, like I said, you don't know me. You understand that? You don't know me at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure almost everybody on here would say it to your face at the end of the day by themselves. They don't need 5 or 6 doofy men siding with them at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's not a macho thing. It's not a pride thing. It's not a tough guy thing, or whatever the case may be. But how you can't sit here and make an assumption that somebody won't say a certain thing to your face. This is why folks like that can't get biblical discussions, because they come off like that. You understand? They come off like that. If a man disrespects somebody's wife, disrespect their mother, curse, use profanity, show his guns in the background, you think somebody gonna want to have a biblical discussion with you? You understand that? You think that's gonna happen? It's going. It most likely is gonna be a melee. You know what I mean? So to prevent that, hey, you know, any righteous person, any godly man, I'm speaking in general. Listen, to save that from happening, I'm not interested. At the end of the day, because if these folks want to talk about getting physical and whatnot, you know, fellas ain't gonna be interested in that. You're supposed to keep it Bible. The righteous way, of course, is to write a letter to anybody you want to debate, or reach out to somebody in a respectful manner. If a person is a preacher, not somebody who got a cup of whiskey in his hand, talking about I want to have a biblical discussion. What? You can't bring that whiskey to a biblical discussion. All right. He said, why are they not working though, using the job site to make videos? He said Dowell is a drunk and a cult leader. The women are scared of him. Wow. He don't want the fast hands though. Man, we try not to advocate, you know what I mean, any type of like violence or any type of fighting like that, or whatever the case may be, you know, for sure. He said, what amazes me is these cats so focused on someone who they say they don't care about, but keep watching. You're right. He says, good evening. Wow, that's so horrible that they speak like that. Absolutely. I mean, it's much more videos, but I'm not going to put it up at the end of the day. I just thought those 2 parts was very funny, for sure. All right. We said the big fella going to start sitting in an Aston Martin. He said with the Drake want to be by his side. That's crazy. Wow. I mean, he seemed like he seemed like he's selling whoop tickets, of course. Like I said, fellas like him, I don't take serious at all. And I didn't even know he played in the NFL at all. But it don't matter at the end of the day. It don't matter. You know, Mr. Dowell was talking boxing and stuff like that. He was talking about a boxing match and what have you before. And, you know, these fellas be selling whoop tickets. Ain't no so-called preacher, their members are going to really take a chance. Let's be honest. Let's be clear. I would be surprised if any false prophet or anybody, you know what I mean, who don't have no type of experience or who just think they tough, had some street fights, and you think it's the same. It's different. You understand that? It's very different when you fighting somebody with skill. You know what I mean? And you don't train, you think you getting mad and your adrenaline pumping, you think that's going to get you over. No, it don't work that way in fighting. You know what I mean? That is the weakness of a person. You know what I mean? When they think they're so big, they think they're so tough, I'll knock you out, I do this, I do that. That's nothing at all. It's nothing. All right? So I doubt it. I highly doubt. And just like the situation with Mr. Vegas, right? Let's go back. I'm gonna find a news article with Mr. Vegas. All right, I'm gonna type it in. Okay, let's see if we can find it. I think I found it. Here it is. I don't think they would really let me view it because I think you gotta pay on this website, but let's just see. All right, real quick. Hopefully they'll let us see it with Mr. Vegas, because it's certain things that I didn't talk about this situation. Okay, they do got it. All right. Let me see if I can shorten it up. So I'm going to share the screen right quick. I'm going to share the screen with Mr. Vegas. Okay. Press reader. Okay. All right. So this is a news article, right? This is a news article out of Jamaica. All right. This is a news article out of Jamaica. I can't scroll down or anything like that. Can I? I'm trying to move it over. Here we go. All right. So this is a news article out of Jamaica, right? So what happened was at the time, y'all know I don't use my Instagram too much. Mr. Vegas hit me up on Instagram, right? And I shared a story. I didn't know too much about Instagram. When you block a person, their messages delete, but your messages appear. I didn't know that. So he was talking crazy, and he was talking about his debate with Gina was like, you know, it was a part of the game. Like he just did it just because of the attention that he would get. He wasn't serious about it at all. You understand that? So he was saying all these things on my Instagram. This was a while ago. All right. And I think I was in contact with a reporter out there in Jamaica, and they put this news article out. It said YouTuber wants to knock out Mr. Vegas. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. You understand that? You see how they manipulate the story, you know? So he was talking crazy, and I believe it was this boxing promoter out of Philadelphia or something like that. Celebrity boxer. I ain't no celebrity or whatever the case may be. But he was interested in it, right? But I knew Mr. Vegas, he was not going to accept it. I know he's not going to accept it because he was contacted for it various times. He did not accept it and won't. You understand? He won't. And just like these fellas on here, they won't accept it. They won't. Not that we advocate, like again, we don't advocate for violence, fighting, or anything like that. We just know they selling whoop tickets and will not accept it at all. Listen, the man is 6'2", 300 pounds. I'm 5'8", 135 pounds. You understand? They will not accept it. You should be, listen, he should be able to knock me out. Smooth. Listen, he should be able to knock me smooth out. Night. You understand? He got about 170 pounds over me. 170 pounds. Daniel Murrah, former NFL player. He don't want to take that chance. You know how embarrassing that would be for him? Being that he a former NFL player, you know how many outlets that'll be on? He let a 135-pounder take him to school, get him the business. He ain't going to accept it. He's not going to accept it, all right? We know former NFL player Daniel Murrah will not accept no type of boxing match with a 135-pounder. Listen, skin and bones right here. Skin and bones. He won't accept it at all. We know he won't. I'll be surprised. So it doesn't matter if you're boxing, MMA, he won't accept it at all. You got 170 pounds over me. Come on, man. 170 pounds. It should be easy for you. It should be a cakewalk. You understand? You should be able to punch. You should be able to punch through me. You should be able to do that. I might as well bring some of my pillows to the fight because I'm going night. You understand? I should be thinking that way for a big guy like that. 300 pounds, 6'2". He ain't going to accept it. He's not going to accept it. You know, they want to say they want to have a boxing match or fight or whatever the case may be. They won't accept it. They won't. People just sell wolf tickets at the end of the day, for sure. Listen, stick to preaching, stick to minister and stuff like that. I'm just a YouTuber at the end of the day. That's it. All right? But if you let a YouTuber get underneath your skin, like I said earlier, you're weak-minded. You're not a preacher. You're not a minister. You're weak-minded. Us YouTubers are going to make our videos. We're going to say and do things, right, to get you talking. You understand that? That's the whole purpose of YouTube. That's the whole purpose. You know, from the thumbnails to the titles and things like that. Of course not clickbait and stuff like that. I don't do none of that. All right, let's go to more comments. He says, I live in Indiana. I don't believe what he's talking. And I think he's out of there because he played for the Colts and stuff like that. Have you ever heard of him? Daniel Murr, number 90 for the Colts. He says, I get you. Will you box him though? Oh, I think I covered that. Now, if the man Daniel Murr accepts or reaches out and say, listen, man, you know what? I would have the boxing match with you. You understand that? I would have it with you. And he says, would you box him though? Me, I would. You understand that? Me, I would. But people in the church, man, you ain't supposed to be doing that. You understand? You ain't supposed to be doing that. But like I said, I doubt they would stand by their words in the videos that they made. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Especially him. Especially the former NFL player. Because he got a lot to lose. He got a whole lot to lose. You saw what happened to Nate Robinson. You saw what happened to him. You saw what happened to other NFL athletes and NBA athletes when they entered the boxing ring or they entered the MMA mat circuit and stuff like that. It was night, except for one except for one NBA player that nobody really know about, Kendall Gill. He boxed before. He was a good professional, right? Kendall Gill. Other than that, I don't know any other NFL athlete out there or any other NBA athlete out there that could take on a boxer or MMA fighter at all. You understand that? Especially not Mr. Murr. All right? So he won't stand by their words and what they was talking in those videos and whatnot. They won't do it. My email is tonyharvin@yahoo.com. They won't email me. You understand? They won't do it. The information is in the description how to contact me. They won't do it at all. You understand that? They won't do it. Not that it's about fighting or anything like that. We don't promote that. All right. Let's go to more comments. What's up to I don't know what this guy talking about. Look at this idiot right here. He says, let me tell you, big black brothers in America, why you acting like a bunch of heathens? That's the same person. That's Drone Shots. That's Tyrese Evans. Get out of here, man. You kind of coming off like that person. He says, you got me thinking about taking boxing classes when I fight out of emotions, when I see how calm boxers are during fights. That's the whole purpose of being a fighter. That's the whole purpose of being a fighter. You understand that? Because if you let your emotions get the best of you, how you gonna think? It's the sweet science of fighting, whether it's wrestling, whether it's grappling, whether it's boxing. You understand? You can use all those qualities if you happen to be in a street fight. Listen, street fights are one of the most easiest things of fighting to do. Street fighting, it's easy, because there's a good chance that you may run into somebody who don't know anything. They just got a good right hand, and that's it. Or they get tired in 15 seconds. That's it. You understand that? So to me, street fighting is so easy. All right. So like, if you want to take boxing classes for like therapeutic purposes, I recommend that. Relieve the stress, relieve the tensions, just let loose on the bags and whatnot. I definitely recommend that for sure for those who want stress relievers and emotional relievers and stuff like that for sure. Muay Thai is absolutely another good one. All right. For sure. All right. Okay. You said you look taller than 5'8". You said you need to eat some biscuits. The man said I need to eat some biscuits. Man, listen. Those out here who know me off of YouTube, they know. You see Terrence Crawford, my size. He deadlift, 300 pounds? You saw Terrence Crawford. Me and him the same size almost. Deadlifting 300. You understand? Lifting 200, 250, 300. Don't be surprised that, listen, some of the skinniest people are some of the strongest folks. Some of the strongest people. You know? Be clear. Be clear. You know? The skinny folks with the little tone and the muscles, they some of the strongest people. Be clear. You know? Some people may look at football players and stuff like that as being big and strong. They may be strong in certain areas, you know? But when you like fighting and stuff like that, and you got to work on every aspect of your body as a fighter, you know what I mean? You're building up strength. So boxing, G-Sport is definitely good. Now, if you don't want to add, some people add the calisthenics, the weight training, the running and stuff like that with it. That hence what you're doing. If you want to, if you want to get involved in that, if you just want to hit the bags to relieve tension, that's fine for sure. All right. He said some 135-pounders dudes will put in that work. Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. Jeremy Dunbar, 6'2", 215. You say he's big, but that doesn't mean anything. It's technique. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Absolutely. He says, boxing over YouTube, I'm so done. Oh, yeah. Some people have, you know, when they have issues with somebody over YouTube and they box it out. You know what I mean? Or some people play basketball, football. That's just, you know, that's just the tensions of how guys are. That's just something about us, you know, when we was young. Listen, sometimes you had to go in the backyard and just scrap it out. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like that. And I don't care if you holy and stuff like that. You have went in the backyard with somebody, you know what I mean, that you had a problem with when you was younger. We used to fight all the time. But in these days, like adults, we hold things. When we was kids, we used to fight. And after the fight, listen, you want to go get some pizza, you want to go play Super Nintendo, stuff like that. We don't do that in these days. We don't do that in these days for sure. What's up to Anthony? What up, what up, what up? Have you ever studied Tai Chi? Nah, I wasn't interested in that. Right? He said, go make another account. Cry Reese. That person sure did. Doesn't boxing and martial art teach you discipline? Absolutely. He says, oh, absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. Absolutely. You know, especially like, especially deadlift and whatnot. He said, sorry, brother. No disrespect, but I don't believe you're putting up 300 on the bench. I said Terrence Crawford. I didn't say Tony Harvin. I said Terrence Crawford. Deadlift, 300 pounds. Deadlift. Right? And you got, and I was making reference to guys my size, such as Terrence Crawford, who's putting in that work. Me, I'm not a weightlifter. I don't want my muscles to be all tight and whatnot. You understand that? You see how Shane Mosley boxed? You know what I mean? Jittery. I don't want those type of muscles. I don't want those type of arms. You know, I like to be loose. You understand? I like to be fast and quick, you know, and bring the power up for my legs. All right, when necessary. He says, I go in the yard to plant vegetables. Plant vegetables. He says, even Gino used to fight a lot when he was younger, baptized and filled with the Spirit. Jeremy says, you're right. I arm wrestle a dude that is big. He said, wow, you're strong. I thought he was being nice, but then my friend that is training me said the same thing. My arms aren't big. Yes, there's some people, you know, they're very, very strong for sure. You know? All right. Appreciate that, Jeremy Dunbar. Appreciate that. You know, this person keep making these little names and what have you. All right, so we was here talking about the so-called preacher Charles Dowell, and I answered the question. Of course, I knew the answer: preaching or pimping. The man is pimping, and you know you're gonna see a lot of that polygamy going on with people. And somebody had posted on Facebook not too long ago. It was a woman she had about 3 husbands. Now, how does that look? A woman with 3 husbands. What real man will allow that? What real woman would allow a man to have multiple wives in the house? He says, take it easy, folks. I know you're talking about something else. He says, your channel, tune up. I thoroughly enjoy this program. Absolutely. I know about skinny guys being strong. My dad was 6'2", 135, but was black belt in 2 forms of martial arts. Hands were hard as brick. 6'2", 135. He says, do Mormons still practice multiple wives? I don't know that. I don't know. That's a pretty interesting question, because I heard before that Mormons, they did do that by having multiple wives, but now you're starting to see more religions and more people to take on that type of teaching, and listen, it's probably going to grow even more. You know what I mean? It's probably going to grow even more because a lot of people are interested in that. They want to have more than one woman. You know what I mean? Listen, no offense to the ladies out there. No offense. Don't stone me. Some guys get bored with one female. Some guys. You know what I mean? Some. All right? So you got a fella like him or a fella like others who got all these qualities and things like that, or who have all these saying, listen, I'm bored with this one chick. I'm going to join this religion because they allow us to have more than one wives, and I don't feel guilty about it. You understand? You says Mormons say God have many wives in heaven. What? Really? Let me see if I can find that. God has many wives in heaven. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, let me share the screen right quick. What's up, the heat? Shout out to you. So here's the screen right quick with Mormons. It says Mormon fundamentalists believe that Heavenly Father has multiple wives, and that although humankind shares the same Heavenly Father, they do not all share the same Heavenly Mother. What? Heavenly Mother? Mormons believe that we have a Heavenly Mother? Wow. This is crazy. This is crazy for sure. He says, Dwell at it again. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, the man is always at it. For sure. Mr. Dwell and his people. He says, in some churches you have a lot of women and less men. And less men. Less men. You know what? I agree with you. In a lot of churches, it's more women than men. I do agree with you. I've seen that before. You understand that? But in general, would it justify that a man can have more than one wife? Let's just say if it's like 50 women in the church and there's only 15 men. Everybody's single in there. You understand that? Everybody's single. So 15 and 15 out of the 50, it's 35 women in there who's going to be single. You understand? They're going to be single. All right. It said Joseph Smith was said to be a schizophrenic. So there's that for the Mormons. He said Charles Dwell is a drinker too. Jeremy Dunbar states that that's like the Muslim extremists that think of them. If they kill themselves for Allah, they will have 70 virgins in heaven. 70 virgins. Wow. Man, I listen, y'all teaching me something, man. I never knew this about the Mormons, the Muslims, and whatnot. Man, a lot of these fellas in religion and stuff like that, they got some crazy doctrine. Crazy doctrine, for sure. Even before me coming to the Triple R and stuff like that, I wouldn't pay that stuff no mind at all, for sure. I mean, it's just basic common sense. Heather Lewis, he says, Mormons believe that if you're a good Mormon, once you die, you'll be the God of your own earth one day, along with all of your spiritual wives. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy right there for sure. You know, that is definitely, I've never heard that before. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not true, but fellas like that and people like that, man, you be your own God. Excuse me, you be a God on your own earth with spiritual wives. Wow, appreciate that, Heather Lewis. Shout out to you. That is crazy right there. You said the prophets talk about Queen of Heaven, but it's referencing Asherah. Wow. You said I've studied other religions to see how they line up with the scripture. That is crazy for sure. All right. We're coming to a conclusion. We're coming to a conclusion to this live. We're coming to the a conclusion with this live. I definitely thank everybody for coming on this live for sure. Definitely appreciate it. You know, we got more videos coming to this channel. We got more videos coming to my primary YouTube channel, Tony Harvin, and my third YouTube channel, Tony Harvin TV. Shout out to all the new subscribers out there coming to this YouTube channel and whatnot. It's definitely a blessing and what have you. You know, I hope everybody have a wonderful night. If you got any last remarks to this video or any video suggestions in general, let me know. For sure. Let me know. And let me check these comments so we can knock off. All right. God bless you too. God bless you too at Khadijah Reeves, Cassie Williams, David B. Bless. John Smith. Shout out to you. Anthony B. TNT News. Soul Express. You said Rashid says countdown to July convocation in Charlotte. For sure. You said the Hebrew Israelites believe that the white man came from Arab countries and Israelites are from Europe. Wow. Appreciate that classified information. God bless you too. All right, I'm Tony Harvin. I thank everybody for coming on. Oh, he got a question. He says, do you think we're back in the biblical days from the Old Testament when we got husbands with multiple wives like Solomon and the Skittles community like Sodom and Gomorrah? It feels like that. It feels like that. You understand that? It definitely feels like that in a sense like, wow. You know, we read about these stories about Sodom and Gomorrah. We read about, husbands having multiple wives, and folks are doing it these days. But you got to also remember, the scripture says ain't nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun, right? Absolutely. Appreciate that Floyd Turner. Shout out to you. Definitely appreciate that. God bless everybody out there. I'm Tony Harvin. I'm signing off. Be on the lookout for more videos coming to this YouTube channel. You know? All right? I'm out. Peace. Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to the Tony Harvin Network YouTube channel. If you like, hit that subscribe button listed right here. After you hit the subscribe button, if you want to receive all notifications of videos that come out on this YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and select all after you hit the notification bell.